In 1797, Samuel Taylor Coleridge was living in Somerset, England. While many Gothic writers at the time relied on loud, theatrical scares to engage their readers, Coleridge chose to engineer a slow-burn horror show built on quiet dread. The story unfolds on an isolated, highly claustrophobic stage. It pulls us into a dark, moonlit forest where the environment feels a little too close, and the sense of isolation is absolute. This structure acts as a technical trap. Coleridge used a new principle called accentual verse, where the total number of syllables in a line fluctuates wildly, but the number of stressed beats remains strictly at 4. Listen to the opening. "'Tis the middle of night by the castle clock, and the owls have awakened the crowing cock." That unstable syllable count mimics a nervous, erratic heartbeat that keeps the reader off balance. The physical structure of the poetry works like an invisible snare. The environment. That dread pays off when our protagonist, the innocent Christabel, is praying alone in the midnight woods. There, she discovers a distressed stranger named Geraldine, whom the poem describes as beautiful exceedingly. Throughout this encounter, Coleridge peppers the dialogue with archaic language, using terms like "I wis" and "wheel" for well-being. These dusty verbal throwbacks trick the reader into expecting a safe, traditional fable. Then the supernatural red flags begin. Geraldine claims she is too weak to walk, waiting for Christabel to lift her over the castle's iron threshold, a classic mechanism of vampire lore where an evil entity must be invited inside. The castle's environment immediately recognizes the danger. As the women pass, a sleeping, toothless mastiff moans in anger. Moments later, a dying fire suddenly shoots up a blinding tongue of light. Christabel's fatal flaw is her absolute, polite hospitality. By ignoring nature's cosmic alarms and trying to do the right thing, she willingly carries a disguised evil directly into her home. Once the women are safely locked inside the intimate, claustrophobic setting of Christabel's bedchamber, the rescued stranger slowly begins to undress. When Geraldine's inner garments drop, Coleridge completely refuses to describe the physical deformity hiding beneath her clothes. He leaves the reader to construct the terror, writing simply, "A sight to dream of, not to tell." The scene taps heavily into 18th century scientific fascinations. Geraldine acts like a succubus employing mesmerism, an early concept of hypnosis or animal magnetism, to place the young girl into a paralyzed trance. She lies down beside the entranced Christabel and casts a specific, targeted spell. This magic suppresses Christabel's ability to speak about the horrific things she has just witnessed. The horror lies in the invisible destruction of innocence. Geraldine's spell forces a pure, well-meaning girl to harbor a dark, shameful secret that she can never share. Coleridge paused his writing here. When he finally resumed Part 2 in the year 1800 from his home in Keswick, Cumberland, the dynamic shifted. Morning arrives, and Geraldine transforms into a composed, noble daytime guest. We meet Sir Leoline, Christabel's father and the castle's protector. He quickly learns that this beautiful stranger is the daughter of Lord Roland de Vaux, his estranged childhood friend. Christabel, still suffering from the lingering effects of the nighttime spell, experiences a terrifying residual vision of a snake. Terrified, she breaks protocol and desperately begs her father to send the woman away. Leoline refuses. Blinded by pride and nostalgia for his old friend, he misinterprets his daughter's genuine terror as petty jealousy and madness, turning his anger entirely on Christabel. Leoline's decision to favor a charismatic stranger over his own daughter leaves Christabel trapped. The story exposes the vulnerability of a victim when the person meant to protect them chooses their own nostalgia over the truth. Sir Leoline angrily leads Geraldine away. The villain successfully manipulates the father, the trap snaps shut, and the poem simply stops. The manuscript circulated privately for 19 years before its official publication in 1816. By then, other writers had borrowed its ideas so heavily that critics accused Coleridge of plagiarizing his own concepts. In a highly defensive preface, Coleridge blamed his own indolence for the delay. He mockingly translated Latin into doggerel rhyme to dismiss critics who accused him of theft, writing, "'Tis mine, and it is likewise yours." Severe opium addiction and poor health prevented Coleridge from ever finishing the work. Yet the poem's lingering psychological ambiguity directly inspired later masters of Gothic horror, including Bram Stoker. Leaving Christabel incomplete was a brilliant accident. Without a tidy resolution, we are left with the haunting realization that true evil doesn't always roar. Sometimes it smiles politely and waits for an invitation.